Welcome to Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word. And today, I am actually continuing with a series that I have interspersed other messages in between, but I realize almost every message that I've given has related to this series called Peace in the Storm. And Lord knows the whole world is in sort of a storm right now. Political, economic, the rumors of wars and all of the stuff, the global warming, the world is getting more like hell because it's getting hotter. So there are storms just brewing in the earth. And how do you have with all of this turmoil? Right now, the national satisfaction with the nation is at one of its lowest points. So how do you keep your peace in the storm? And as we dealing with this series, it came from when my youngest son, George, and I was in prayer, and God spoke the series, and that each one of us gave a word with each one of the corresponding letters in Peace in the Storm, from person to everywhere, attitude, companion, excellence, indigo, nerves, thieves, hospitality, everyone. And today I want to talk about the S in the word storm, and that S stands for satisfaction. How do you keep satisfaction in the storm? One of the Rolling Stones' most popular songs and one of the all-time great hits was simply the song entitled, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. It's not even grammatically correct. It should technically be, I cannot get any satisfaction, but that doesn't roll as good. So it's just, I can't get no satisfaction. And a lot of times with all of this stuff going on, and not just out in the national or the international scene, but just in our personal world, sometimes we feel that I can't get no satisfaction. So how do we get satisfaction? How do we maintain our satisfaction in the midst of the storm and with all of this stuff going on? And the Gallup poll found there are three major influential factors in satisfaction. Now, Gallup is a company that does surveys, and they survey some of everything. They're nonpartisan, which means they're not Democrat, they're not Republican, they have no particular partisan leaning. They're non-religious. They're just all scientists that do all of this research. So the Gallup Corporation surveyed Americans to find what had them the most satisfied or dissatisfied. And they came up with three major areas that influence satisfaction. And of those three areas that influence satisfaction, number three, the third one, was education. And it actually had some of the least influence, but if you had a college degree, 54% of the people who had a college degree said they were very satisfied with life, but 49% of the people with no college degree said they were very satisfied with life. So they found that third largest factor was whether or not you had a college degree. And I can kind of understand how that can influence things, because sometimes it relates to just the ability to complete something and to go through it and stick through it. So a college degree made a 5% difference in your satisfaction level. Number two of the three was income. If you earned $100,000 a year or more, 61% of the people who earn $100,000 a year or more said they were very satisfied with life. If you earn between $40,000 and $99,000, 52% said they were very satisfied with life. If you earn less than $40,000, 39% said that they were very satisfied with life. So income, and of course, everybody can understand that. If you got more money, it doesn't mean you don't have problems, but often it means you don't have what's called basic subsistence issues. You don't have problems with getting put out and your electricity getting cut off. The lights are blinking now. It's not because of the power bill. It's something to do with the circuit. But sometimes when your light blink off and you ain't paid the bill, it worries you. So I can see how money can make a difference with satisfaction in life. And I understood the first one, the third biggest one being a college degree, the second one being the income level. But number one of what the Gallup, this non-religious, non-political organization found, the number one factor that determines the biggest gap in whether you are very satisfied with life or not is weekly religious service attendance. Now, this is how the stats break down. Of the people who go to church every single week, and it didn't have particularly Christian, it said weekly religious. So this means folk who go to a mosque or go to a synagogue or go to a temple or wherever they go somewhere, they go to a weekly religious service. Of those who go to a weekly religious service, 67% said they were very satisfied with life. Higher than any other group. And this is what the Gallup poll found. Those who were faithful to church were happier and more satisfied than anybody else. Now this is where the stats got a little twisty. 67% of the people who go to church every week were highly satisfied or very satisfied with life. But those who went between 2 and 4 times a month were only 2 and 3 times a month were only 44% highly satisfied with life. But those who went less than once a month were 48%. And I'm saying, wait a minute, that's odd. The folk who go every Sunday got this big, clump of satisfaction and joy. The folk who come in, 2-3 times a month, they less than, they down there. But the folk who just not coming, but we're like one, the CMEs, Christmas, Mother Days, and Easter, they got more satisfaction in life than the folk who just half coming. And it remind me of Jesus when he said, I wish that you were hot or cold, but you're lukewarm and I'll spew you. So if you go, get in there and do it, and give it all you got. So basically what it's saying, the folk who really are solidified, who just give it all they got, they're the happiest. The folk who just half, hit out, I'm going to go this Sunday, well, it look like it may rain today, I ain't going today. So the folk who are halfway, they're the least satisfied. And the folk who just ain't going, but Christmas, Mother Day, and Easter, they're more satisfied than the folk that's half doing it. But it was interesting how of those 3 top factors, of all of the factors that they checked, the 3 top factors, the number 1 factor, and your happiest, most satisfied group were those who attended a weekly religious service.
Preach on, Reverend. Ain't that the truth?
God expects you.
I can't get no satisfaction. You probably can't get no satisfaction because you ain't in church. And that is a scientific, statistical fact. Those who go to church every week, y'all say every week. Every week are more satisfied. So when you're getting ready, you thinking about whether you're going to miss church today, you need to think about these stats. I don't want to move into that group that come in only 2 or 3 times a month because they the least happy. I need to be maximum. And maximum are those who attend every week. It's a consistency about life that makes a difference. It's the habit that you're in. It's like you're saying, I am not going to let God down. It's part of my routine. It's part of my habit. And you'll find that when you get into the habits of where you're doing things on a consistent, on a regular basis, I heard Joseph say last week, he made a point that if he is late, he tithes $30 to the church. And it makes it a point where he just focuses on getting everywhere on time. Because habits make a difference. So if you get in the habit of attending every Sunday or every Thursday, if you get in a habit of attending, that habit shapes your life. And it not just shapes your life for this thing, it shapes your life for every other thing you do. One solid habit reinforces another solid habit. If you're sloppy with one thing, you're liable to be sloppy with another thing. I read a book called Make Your Bed, and this whole thing was about this one habit. And it changed just my habit of making sure I always made my bed every day. He said that one little bitty habit just makes a difference. It makes it where you make sure you get your bed in order before you leave, and it changes your whole mentality. I'm going to make my bed every day. I'm going to do this one thing, and that one thing causes you to do another thing. When you start leaving your bed unmade, then you leave your drawers in the floor. But if you make your bed up, you pick them up, you put them in the hamper. It just makes a difference. So sometimes one thing, the solidity of the habit of coming to God's house every single week was the number one factor in life satisfaction. Psalms 37:4, which we've heard many times, a lot of people use this as their mantra, simply says, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." One of the most quoted verses. But yet I hear people saying, if I delight myself in the Lord, then why don't I have the desires of my heart? I want some stuff and I ain't got it. And I hear people say that over and over. It said, delight myself in the Lord, and he'll give me the desires. I want this, and I want this, and I want. Why don't I have it? First of all, they haven't read the rest of the stuff around that verse. And when you read chapter 37, it changes. Let me read chapter 37 of Psalms. "Do not fret because of evil men, or be envious of those who do wrong. For like the grass, they will soon wither, like green plants, they will soon die away. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and enjoy safe pasture. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will do this. He will make your righteousness shine like the dawn, the justice of your cause like the noonday sun. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when men succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret. It leads only to evil, for evil men will be cut off, but those who hope in the Lord will inherit the land. A little while, and the wicked will be no more. Though you look for them, they will not be found, but the meek will inherit the land and enjoy great peace." Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. You got to read the rest of that surrounds it. And basically, Psalms 37 tells you basically four things. First of all, it says multiple times, do not fret. You don't know what fretting is. Fretting is not a modern word. Fretting is an old-fashioned word. It fundamentally means worry. You fretting about something. Worry. Psalm says, stop worrying and stop worrying about what evil folk doing. Yeah, it's always been evil people. It's always going to be evil folk. Stop worrying about what evil folk are doing. God said, look, they're going to pass away. They're going to get their reward. You just don't worry about what evil folk doing. There are some evil folk in your life. There are some evil folk on your job. There's probably some evil folk in your church. Stop worrying about what evil folk are doing. So that's the first thing it tells you. Do not fret. If you want to be satisfied in life, you can't let all this stuff worry you. That's one thing I admire so much about C. Elijah. C. Elijah just don't let anything worry him. He just don't let anything worry him. I've just never seen C. Elijah worried about anything. C. Elijah will not allow this stuff in the world to worry him. Sometimes you can tell C. Elijah about something. It just ain't gonna worry C. Elijah. It's not, C. Elijah, there are two things about C. Elijah. C. Elijah is not going to worry, and C. Elijah is not going to hurry. So you're just not going, you're not going to worry C. Elijah, and you're not going to hurry C. Elijah. But this allows for peace. And you become satisfied because you don't have to, all this stuff and all this hustle and bustle in the world and all this stuff that frets you and it gets your nerves off and you can't sleep at night. You're worried about so much stuff, and you're worried about all of the evil in the world. There's always been evil, but there's always been good. There's always been a mixture of the two. And there's always, even in heaven itself, a third of the angels had to be booted out. They had some mess in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven. Even when you get there, you're going to have some issues. And if you got some issues here, you're going to have issues in heaven. I talked about the racial situation in heaven. I preached a sermon about that. That's deep. So if you got some issues here, you're going to get to heaven and see some folk. Not only do they have different skin complexions, they got horns and feathers and claws and all kind of stuff. So you got a different with somebody that got a different complexion. What about you when you get to heaven? You're going to really have, so stop fretting about all of this stuff in the earth, all of this stuff on the news. Don't let this stuff worry you. That's the first thing that Psalms 37. Do not fret. Number 2, it says, trust in the Lord. That was one of my sermons on the road. Do you trust me? Trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord. When you trust in the Lord, it really takes a lot of the burden off of you. That's why Jesus says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. When you trust in God, when you put your burdens on Jesus, it takes them off of you. But when you're worried and fretting about all of this stuff about trust in God. And how can you worry about stuff when you trust in God? I no longer even, I'm kind of militaristic, but I let my firearms license expire because I just trust in God. I said, Lord, I'm just not going to need this weapon. I just trust in you to tell me where to go. And now if he go back and tell me to renew it, I'm going down there and get it renewed. But, and this was the point where with the disciples, Jesus told the disciples, go get a sword. There was a time when he told you go get your gun. So if God tells me, I'm going to go down and get it. And I'm well armed too. But the point is, I trust in God and I don't worry about anything. God can protect me more than anything. I just trust God. So that's the second thing about life satisfaction is to trust God. Third thing it says this, do good. See, when you trust God, you need to do what God tells you to do. You need to do good. Trust God. Don't worry. Trust God. Do good. Don't worry. Trust God. Do good. Don't worry. Trust God. Do good. And the final thing it says is this. Wait. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when men succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Basically, it takes some time. Some of us just want stuff so quick. Some of this stuff takes some time. When you're really in God and God has promised you some stuff, that stuff is just not quick. Some of this stuff takes time, and you learn how to wait patiently. And what you will find is the more that you delight yourself in God, the more your desires change. And your desires will change from, it's what Jamie preached about the love, how you always talk about what I can get or give me or see about me and my. No, your desires change. And your desires will change from focusing so much on you to focusing on what a blessing you can be to others. And when your desires change, it just makes a difference. It was the number one thing that people recommend. These are the experts dealing with suicidal tendencies. The number one thing the experts tell you about how to prevent suicide is to have the person go out and help somebody else. Just take your mind off you. Help somebody else, and it changes your whole vibration. It changes your whole perspective. It increases your life satisfaction. Don't fret. Don't worry. Trust God. Do good. And learn how to wait patiently. We are this society. That's why I was just talking about see Elijah. You ain't gonna worry, see Elijah. You ain't gonna hurry, see Elijah. Don't worry, wait patiently. Don't worry, wait patiently. God got this thing all in his hands, and he's got it all planned for you. And the things that we want right now, we might not be able to handle or receive right now. He's got to get us prepared. He's got to send us through some things. And by the time he gets through sending us some things, the things that we used to want, we'll find that we really getting God. We don't even want that stuff anymore. So this is a part of just life satisfaction. And the other big part of satisfaction that I found is really learning how to trust and be in the will of God, because the world teaches you something totally opposite. And what the world is teaching us is to follow your passion. Now, I understand that, and it's a modern thing that's been taught in the last 15 or 20 years. That just every speech almost begins, just follow your passion, just follow your passion.
Whatever, I do what I want.
Just follow your passion.
I do what I want.
Basically, what that is saying is this: do what you want to do. Do what you want to do. Everything God has told me, I didn't want to do. I didn't want to stand up here preaching. When the prophecies would come, you're going to be a preacher. You're going to be, I don't want that. I just didn't want to do that. Almost everything God will tell you will be against your passion. And to be honest about it, I hate to let you all know this, but some Sundays I don't want to come. See, it's not just you all out there who just don't want to come some Sundays. It's some Sundays I wake up, I just don't want to come. I don't want to preach. I don't want to go to church. It's stuff that if it was left up to me, I would do some stuff differently. When God sends you a word, and generally the path that God wants you to travel, when you start from the beginning, Moses didn't want to do it. That wasn't his passion to free the folk. Lord, I can't talk. I don't want to go before. He didn't want to do it. So we've got to learn how to choose between what we want and what God wants. And they're often radically different. I was away, and I was just talking to God. And I was thanking God so much. I said, Lord, I appreciate your grace so much. You've just given me so much grace, and because so much stuff you told me to do. And to be honest about it, I'm just not on target with that stuff. And I thank you so much for your grace. And God asked me a question. And the question took me 3 days to answer. He asked me a simple question. Because all of us need grace. All of us get off. And I was just thanking God had nothing bad happened to me, and I just wasn't fully in obedience with what he had told me to do. I was just thanking Lord for that. He asked me a simple question. He said, how much grace do you want? Oh, that's a deep question there. And my immediate thought was, I want unlimited grace. That was my immediate thought. I want unlimited grace. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I mean, if I could get unlimited grace, I could eat anything I wanted. If I could just get some unlimited grace, I could eat anything I wanted without consequences. I wouldn't have to work out. I wouldn't have to see Ringo 3 times a week, because that thing be rough, and I don't want to work out with Ringo. Every time I see Ringo, he just be straining me and struggling with me, and it just be hard. It'd be hard. So I'd be glad sometime when I can tell Ringo, I'm going to be out of town. I ain't going to be able to work out today. I'd be so glad to say that. I'm telling you, none of my boys will work out with me with Ringo, because Ringo rough, daddy. And he just is. So it's not my choice. But I know what I would choose is not the best thing for me. So when God asked me, how much grace do you want? My first thought was, I would like to have unlimited grace. I would like to be able to do what I want to do, the way I want to do it, when I want to do it. And if I don't want to do it, I just don't want to do it. I can stay up late all night. I can just do what I want to do. How much grace do you want? It took me 3 days of thinking about that question to come up with an answer. It took 3 days. And I said, Lord, I recognize that unlimited grace is not good for me in any area of my life. It's not good for my spirit. Because I'm going to do what I want to do, and 9 out of 10 times when folk do what they want to do, it's not the best thing for them. So the unlimited grace, Lord, is not the best thing for me. But yet I don't want it too bad. I don't want anything. I said, Lord, so at first I had to change it 2 times. So Lord, so at first I said, I don't want anything serious to happen to me, but I want enough pain to get me back on track. And that's what I told God. Then I thought about it. I said, wait a minute. My definition of serious and God's definition of serious is just 2 different things. So let me hold up, Lord. Let me change that. Because that 2 different, you may see something, and this ain't serious to me. I can bring you out. I'm laying in the hospital on a ventilator. No, that ain't serious. That ain't serious in my eye, but it's serious in my eye. I said, wait a minute, Lord. No, this is what I don't want anything to happen to me that put me in the hospital, that put me in extreme pain or debilitate me. I don't want anything like that to happen to me, but I want enough pain to keep me on track. And that's how I ended up having to answer God that question. How much grace do you want? Satisfaction is about being in the will of God. And according to Gallup, it's about being in the house of God on a regular weekly basis. And that's why God told you, forsake not yourself the assembly of the saints. That's always a part of getting together with. So satisfaction is about, number 1, don't worry, trust God, do good, and have the patience to wait and stay on track while God brings you what you are destined to have. Why is my alarm going off now? Anyway, but the point is, satisfaction begins in God. It begins in the house of God. It begins in your spirit. Satisfaction begins in God. I know why my alarm went off. Brother Ivan's anniversary is at 12:30 today, so it was going off 10 minutes before his anniversary started. For those of you who, it's at 1240 Prior, 1540 Prior Street. So right after this service, his 6th anniversary begins. So those of you who want to attend, I'm sure he would be glad to see all of you. You edit that out of the sermon, but for the tape. But God wants us satisfied. You want to be satisfied. So remember just those 4 things dealing with Psalms 37. Number 1, don't fret. Don't worry. Don't let this stuff bother you. Turn to the person and tell them, don't let this stuff bother you. It's so much. Don't let this stuff bother you. Don't let this stuff bother you. Don't worry, don't hurry. Don't worry, don't hurry. Don't worry, don't hurry. Don't worry, don't hurry. So then trust God and do good. Trust, and you all know what good is, especially when God has put something in your heart for you to do. Trust God, do good, and don't hurry. Be patient, wait on God to bring to you that which he desires for your world. I thank you for joining us today here at Brothers of the Word. You can go to brothersoftheword.com, listen to the entire series of Peace in the Storm, absolutely free. You can send any of the messages to a friend, absolutely free of charge, at brothersoftheword.com. Thank you for joining us today at Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word.